Newsflash: Wonder Elephant Dumbo returns to the big screen today. Ears issued for $1 million and audiences. Dumbo set for altitude and box office records. Dumb bombers for American defense. Dumbo manager signs Hollywood contract with Tim Burton. Oh, sorry, didn't notice you all. Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now today, I'm going to talk about a lovable Disney character from 1941 who became the 9th wonder of the universe, Dumbo. The story is about a baby circus elephant who was born with large ears. One day at a show, he is taunted by a group of kids, inciting his mother into rage and gets her locked up in solitary confinement. After Dumbo's ears cause an accident that injures many of the other elephants, he is made to dress up like a clown and perform dangerous stunts. Everything changes when Dumbo discovers that his enormous ears actually allow him to fly, and he astounds everyone at the circus with his new talent. Now, in my eyes, despite a few flaws, mainly the bullying, the pink elephants, and the crows, Dumbo is one of my childhood favorite Disney films from the golden era. Plus, it had classic songs, wonderful animation, and the titular character Dumbo is just so darn adorable. And of course, his ears are very special, and I'm happy that he had someone like Timothy Q. Mouse look after him after his mother got locked away. But several other characters, like the other elephants, were very dislikable for being really mean to Dumbo. Anyway, as for my rating, I give this film a 97% out of 100. Also, I feel that Dumbo is pretty similar to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, due to both characters starting out as outcasts, but later became famous. Plus, I think Dumbo became inspirations for other characters, like Baby Happy New Year from Rudolph's Shiny New Year, Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey, Despero Tilling from The Tale of Despero, and of course Flurry Heart from My Little Pony. Except she has big wings, not ears. Anyway, over the years, Dumbo has become such a beloved Disney character, not only due to the film becoming a financial miracle, but Walt decided to make 2 Dumbo-themed rides for his Disneyland parks, like Dumbo the Flying Elephant, which can be found in both California and Florida parks, along with Tokyo Disneyland, Disneyland Paris, and Hong Kong Disneyland, and the Casey Jr. Circus train, which can only be found in California and Disneyland Paris. However, in Florida, instead of being a ride, Casey Jr. is used as a water playground. Also, Dumbo had a TV show called Dumbo Circus, which aired on the Disney Channel from 1985 to 1986. To me, as a kid, it was a pretty fun show, and it was cute that Dumbo had a voice, provided by Katie Lee, whom you may remember as Sonny Gummy from the Gummy Bears show. However, now that I'm older, I feel that it's mostly aimed for the younger audiences, so I'm kind of grown out of it, regrettably. Plus, Dumbo has made cameos in such stuff like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The House of Mouse, and Ralph Breaks the Internet, and of course, he became a summon in the Kingdom Hearts games. There were plans for a sequel in the early 2000s, but it was sadly canceled when John Lasseter became Chief Creative Officer of Walt Disney Animation Studios in 2006. Now, imagine my surprise when I found out news that a live-action Dumbo remake would be released in theaters by, surprising of all, my favorite director, Tim Burton. My reaction? Well, I was actually very surprised. I mean, sure, Tim is mostly known for directing such dark and eccentric movies, but he's also made a few heartwarming films, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Frankenweenie. So, let's see how Mr. Burton can give life to a flying elephant. Released on March 29th, 2019, the movie is, well, Dumbo. Alright, let's get started. Struggling circus owner Max Medici enlists a former star and his 2 children to care for Dumbo, a baby circus elephant born with oversized ears. When the family discovers that the animal can fly, it soon becomes the main attraction, bringing in huge audiences and revitalizing the rundown circus. The elephant's magical ability also draws the attention of V.A. Vanderveer, an entrepreneur who wants to showcase Dumbo in his latest larger-than-life entertainment venture. So, what did I think? Well, I really loved it. Truly a wonderful movie. In fact, it really gave me happy tears. But to further explain why I enjoy the film, let's move on to Mustang notes. Early development for a live-action adaptation of Dumbo began in 2014, when Aaron Kruger gave Derek Frey a script for the movie, which Attached Frey greenlighted for development. On July 8, 2014, it was announced that it was in development for Walt Disney Pictures. Kruger was also confirmed as the screenwriter, and Justice Springer was served as the producer along with Kruger. On March 10, 2015, Tim Burton was announced as the director. The film features a different storyline from the original movies, though, as star Colin Farrell described, the one central thing that holds true is the film's message of believing in yourself and finding something inside you that allows you to become the best version of what you thought you could ever be, and that we're all, regardless of the things that sometimes society says should arrive us at being outcasts, that they're the things that make us all individual, special, and beautiful, regardless of how crippling a certain thing may be, or how polarizing a certain physical attribute even may be. Kruger wrote the script as a story that offered a way to tell that story in a framework that expanded it, and without redoing the original movie, as well as a story that was simple, with an emotional simplicity, and didn't interfere with what the basic through line of the original is about. Like the original film, Dumbo depicts the character as a symbol of someone who does not fit in and turns his disabilities into an advantage. Kruger wrote the script in order to explore how the people of the circus world could relate to Dumbo's journey, while Springer said that the production team really wanted to explore the human side of Dumbo's story and gave it historical context. In the animated feature, Dumbo flies for the world at the end of the movie. They wanted to find out how the world reacts when people learn that this elephant can fly. Principal photography had begun in July 2017 in England, lasting until November of the same year. 2 elephant props were used during filming to give the production team an idea of his size and his shape in the scene, an idea of the lighting, and that kind of thing where he's going to be for camera. Creature performer Ed Osman used a green suit to represent Dumbo while filming certain scenes, as well as an interactive reference for scenes that required the actors to be in contact with the character, and as a guide for Burton to use, with Burton later providing information of his performance to the animation team. Unlike most remakes of Disney's animated films, Dumbo mostly uses practical sets during filming. Most of the filming was done at Pinewood Studios and Cardington Airfield in England. The visual effects were provided by moving picture company Framestore and Rise FX, supervised by Patrick Leda, Richard Hoover, Jonathan Weber, and Richard Stammers, and produced by Hal Hosens with the help of Rising Sun Pictures and Rodeo FX. Title designer Matt Curtis made the opening titles for Dumbo, making his first collaboration with Disney since Around the World in 80 Days from 2004. Now, let's move on to my positives. Like the other live-action Disney remakes, this movie features a lot of references from the original, but some of them have a few changes. For example, we do see several storks flying by the circus. Casey Jr. is featured as the Medici circus train. However, in this version, he's not really alive, but he does have a face, which to me looks very steampunkish, but at the same time, it's a tad eccentric, looking pretty similar to the It's a Small World clock tower. Also, for those who think that Timothy Q. Mouse is absent, well, fortunately, he is in the movie, but only as one of Millie's pet mice. Plus, during the Medici Circus, the clown act that Dumbo acts in is a tad opposite to the original. You see, instead of Dumbo jumping from a burning building, Dumbo has to act as a firefighter using water from his trunk to put out the fire while rescuing a monkey from the building. The pink elephants are in this movie too, but they are used for something different. Instead of being the result of a drunken state, the pink elephants are used for a bubble show at the Dreamland Circus. Also, I'm surprised that the movie tells us that the story takes place in 1919. And I'm kind of glad that the crows are not featured in this movie. Probably to, well, not bring back memories of the controversial troubles that the original had. Also, there are times throughout the movie that are both emotional and very sad that they can easily tug at my heart and make my eyes very teary. However, the only thing that I didn't like in this movie, like the original, are the scenes where Dumbo is ridiculed due to his huge ears. Seriously. These jerks should be ashamed for picking on such an adorable and special little fellow like Dumbo. But at least I'm glad that this movie is not as mean-spirited as the original. Because I like that the other circus performers, which consist of clowns, magicians, a strongman, a mermaid woman, and a snake charmer, treat Dumbo like part of their family. And I really like the scene where they work together to help Dumbo free his mother. As for Dreamland, which is located in New York, Well, this theme park, owned by V.A. Vanderveer, looks pretty neat. Not only is there a Circus Coliseum, but there's also a roller coaster called Rocket to the Moon, a scary sideshow attraction called Nightmare Island, a control tower, and a science expo called Wonders of Science, which is, in my opinion, almost reminiscent to Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress. As for the music, well, the music for the film was composed by Danny Elfman, and I think he did wonderful, because there are times throughout the movie where the music felt very tear-jerking and emotional. Plus, he did include instrumental versions of songs like Casey Jr., When I See an Elephant Fly, and Pink Elephants on Parade from the original. Also, while Norwegian singer Aurora performed a cover of the original film's song, Baby Mine, for the remake's trailer, it was sadly not featured in the actual movie. But thankfully, it is sung in the movie by Sharon Rooney. Plus, Arcade Fire performs their own cover of Baby Mine during the end credits. And I don't care what anyone says, because no matter what version you listen to, when it comes to Dumbo, this song will always make you shed a tear. And now let's move on to the characters. Let's start with our title character, Dumbo. In this version, even though he started out very shy and scared, I think Dumbo is equally as adorable as he was back in 1941. And I like that he still has his baby blue eyes. Also, like the original, I think Dumbo's ears are very special, and he always makes me smile every time he's on screen, and during the scenes where he flies. Plus, Dumbo is very smart, due to him using his trunk to pull the switches on the Dreamland control tower, and he's very brave when using water to save the farriers from a fire. And I like when Dumbo sprays water at the bullies. Speaking of which, I know elephants do that all the time, but I wonder if Tim Burton got the idea of Dumbo using water from his trunk from Kingdom Hearts, since Dumbo has never used water from his trunk in the original. I mean, we only saw him blow bubbles and shooting peanuts. Also, what surprised me is that, with the exception of Sora and thousands of people at Disneyland, no human, I repeat, no human has ever rode on Dumbo in a movie until now. In fact, if Dumbo was a real elephant, I would definitely want to become his friend and give him a big hug. Next we have Dumbo's mother, Mrs. Jumbo. Like in the original film, she is separated from her son when she tries to protect him from the audience when they make fun of his ears. However, in this version it becomes worse when a jerkish elephant tamer named Rufus pushes her button by calling Dumbo an ugly baby. Plus, her rampage brings back memories of a scene from the original where the circus tent collapses. Okay, I need to say this right now. I understand that Mrs. Jumbo was trying to protect Dumbo, but her getting locked away is pretty similar to a human consequence. If you folks don't know what I'm talking about, my dad told me a while ago that if a human lets their rage go out of control, other folks will think something's wrong with them and have the police lock them away. Anyway, to me, it's sad enough when Mrs. Jumbo gets locked in solitary confinement, but it becomes more heartbreaking when she's taken away. Later in the movie, it is revealed that Mrs. Jumbo has been sold to Vanderveer's Dreamland, where she's put as an attraction on Nightmare Island. Anyway, I like the part where Mrs. Jumbo gives Dumbo a bath, and when she throws Rufus into a tub of water. Next we come to the circus ringmaster, Max Medici, played by Danny DeVito, who has been in Batman Returns and Mars Attacks. Now, this guy is similar, yet different from the ringmaster from the original. You see, Medici is a much more heroic character, and I think that he's very loyal to his troupe. And I think his monkey sidekick is pretty funny, but a tad mischievous. Plus, I like the part where Medici hums Casey Jr.'s song, and of course, I like where he wouldn't allow alcohol around Dumbo. Next up is Holt Ferrier, played by Colin Farrell, whom I've talked about in my blogs of Saving Mr. Banks and Blue Sky's Epic. Holt is an amputee World War I veteran, a former circus equestrian performer from Kentucky, and the widowed father of Millie and Joe, who was hired by Medici to care for Dumbo. To me, Holt serves as a human stand-in for Timothy Q. Mouse, filling the roles of best friend and father figure to Dumbo that Timothy filled in the original film. Plus, I find it pretty amusing when he calls Dumbo Big D a few times throughout the movie. Also, I like the scenes where he's trying to calm down the audience when Dumbo is being laughed at, and when he tells Dumbo that he doesn't need a feather in order to fly. Next we have Holt's children, Millie and Joe, played by Nico Parker and Finley Hobbins. Joe is a rambunctious boy who embraces the circus life, and he'd love nothing more than to have his own act. Millie, on the other hand, is more interested in science than the circus. Anyway, I really like the friendship chemistry that Millie and Joe share with Dumbo, and I like that they encourage Dumbo to fly with feathers. Michael Keaton, who has been in Beetlejuice and the 2 Batman films, plays as the villain V.A. Vanderveer. This guy is a ruthless, persuasive, and enigmatic interpreter and amusement park owner who buys Medici's circus to exploit the titular elephant Dumbo for his amusement park Dreamland by pairing Dumbo up with his aerial artist Colette Marchant, whom we'll get to later. To me, this guy is a real jerk, and I really hate how he plans to use Dumbo's gift of flying for his own wealth. Also, I really don't like it when he later fires the rest of Medici's troupe and plans to kill Mrs. Jumbo, fearing that she might become a distraction for Dumbo. Plus, I think Vanderveer is very abusive, reckless, and power-hungry. By the way, Vanderveer's motivation for being evil is because his father abandoned him and he had to fend for himself. In fact, I think Vanderveer is pretty similar to a real Disney villain named Charles Mintz. Another character to talk about is Colette Marchant, played by Ava Green, who has been in Dark Shadows and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Now, Colette is a French trapeze artist and Vanderveer's muse who performs at Dreamland. In the film, Vanderveer has her perform with Dumbo, where he flies around the Colosseum. In my opinion, Colette is a nice character, and despite the fact that Eva Green was afraid of heights, I think her aerialist skills are amazing. Plus, I think she was great while helping Dumbo, his mother, and the Farriers escape Dreamland. Also, I think it was very sweet when Colette gave Dumbo a kiss near the end of the movie. And now, let's move on to my final words. Overall, Dumbo is equally as wonderful as it was back in 1941. Though, it doesn't make me think less about the original due to it being from my childhood, despite the many flaws that it had. The setting in 1919 America is spot on. The movie is great at taking the original film and expanding it a bit. Plus, I like the many references that this movie features. Also, the musical score by Danny Elfman is wonderful, and the acting is absolutely spectacular. The human characters like Holt, along with Millie and Joe, are great, and I love the family and friendship bond that they share with Dumbo. Max Medici was a great ringmaster, and Colette was a wonderful and a breathtaking aerialist. And then there's Dumbo himself, whom, whether being CGI or hand-drawn, will always be the most adorable and lovable flying elephant in the history of Disney. I highly recommend everyone who grew up with Disney's 1941 classic to check this movie out. And be sure to bring a tissue box with you, because I'm sure that this film will bring you and your children the happiest tears ever. I give Dumbo an 87% out of 100. Well, that's it for now. Be sure to join me again next time. Mustang Power.